It's time for a change. It's time for a refreshing. It is time for a reboot, if you will. Now, over the last couple weeks, I've been doing a video series basically without even knowing it pretty much, where I've basically been critiquing and breaking down why different areas of WWE as a whole are garbage. You know, stretching from the booking from Triple H, the championship reigns, the storylines, what I'm saying, the roster itself being absolutely horrendous at this point. Overall, the company is a disaster, and it's time to do something about it. Now, obviously, if you were to ask yourself this question genuinely, if you've witnessed different eras of professional wrestling, right, and you're watching this current era of professional wrestling, and you ask yourself, is this content amazing? The answer is most likely going to be no. Is this content good? No. Is this content decent? No, it's not consistently decent, it's not consistently good, and it's not consistently entertaining. And the problems that are caused by this is the simple fact that there's nothing to look forward to. There's no good championship reigns, the storylines are stale, we get the same collection of matches and same collection of promo segments every single week, and on top of that, it's okay if you're doing similar segments and matches every week if the stuff is good, but it's not. The only thing they've been able to milk consistently that was actually good was Carmelo Hayes and Andrade wrestling like every week to the best of 7, the Game 7 stuff, because the matches each time were actually good. Outside of that, everything else they've rehashed, like Cody Rhodes' libation promos, Gunther not showing up to work, the usual stuff like Damian Priest versus some collection of the Judgment Day members, Bayley versus Nia Jax versus Bayley, Nia Jax versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax versus Bayley and Naomi versus Nia Jax. It's the same stuff, right? We get the same stuff. Ask yourself, and I had to ask myself this, what do we do about this? What is actually the next step of precaution to actually fix this issue? And the truth is, everybody, I was thinking about this, and I think that the actual best way to fix these issues is by wiping the slate completely clean. What I mean by this is that, quite frankly, I think that everything from top to bottom needs a massive shift. The big shift. The Great Awakening. You know what I'm saying? Something needs to happen. At the end of the day, as far as I see it, most of the issues that are plaguing WWE are predicated on Triple H and the way he is booking things, because it has totally been a joke and something that needs to be brought up. The New Day heel turn, for example, and this whole long-term booking stuff that Triple H is doing needs to stop. There is no possible scenario or plausible scenario in which, in the pantheon of WWE and wrestling in general, we have to wait 5 to 10 months for a story to see its end, its beginning, its middle, and its epic climax. That should not be a thing. I don't need to sit here every single week and hear about libations. I respect thee, I love thee, and Kevin Owens, I have something to tell you. I shouldn't have to sit here and hear, I can't stop thinking about Punk. I can't stop thinking about Roman. I shouldn't have to sit here and hear about Rhea, I took your title. I took a dumb. I'm going to take back my title. I never lost, yeah? I'm sick of hearing this stuff. We've been hearing the same thing for like 10 months. There's no reason why every story has to last 10 plus months in order to get its climax, its ending, and its beginning, and all the other stuff in between. It's nonsensical. The New Day, we have to wait 10 months of repetitive, garbage, nonsense segments in mid-matches that we know they're going to lose to build this story. We have to wait 10 months for 2 back-to-back weeks of great content from the New Day with one of the greatest heel turns of all time, which was awesome, obviously. But what have they done with it since? What has Triple H done with the booking of this heel turn since it happened? Nothing. Their first match in-ring competition since this heel turn is going to happen next week, which means that since they turned heel, they've been wallowing around for 5 weeks until they finally do something in the ring again. So I'm not trying to hear that garbage. And what's really funny is that, Triple H needs 10 months to tell all these stories, but everyone keeps saying, this is the most stacked the roster's ever been, business is booming, everything is amazing, it's a great champions, we have all these great stories, everything like that. But, in any other great era of professional wrestling, like the 2000s or the Attitude Era, they never needed 10 months to tell a great story. I don't remember a situation, for example, right? Like the Summer of Punk, for example. Did that last 10 months? No. Was it amazing? Yes. Was the story of John Cena and Bray Wyatt in 2014, for example, that's a nice little pull for you guys. Did that story need 10 months to be good? No. And there's plenty of other examples, right? If The Rock came out, like let's just say in the Attitude Era, The Rock came out and cut a promo on Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? He's like, The Rock is going to lay at the smackdown on your candy, you know what? But you got to wait 8 months. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wait 8 months. You know, it doesn't make any sense. Oh, a episode of Raw TV was like Triple H and The Rock in the main event with like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Rock, or like Stone Cold versus Triple H. Like these were normal main events. Do you see what I'm saying? So how in the world are we going from that being the Raw main events, just consistently great stuff week to week or every other week or multiple times a month, and now we have to wait 10 months for one great storyline at a time? Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. That's stupid. Not everything needs 10 months. And that is why I think that in the midst of this Mania season, I don't think we need to wait until WrestleMania to get these changes. And you're probably wondering, well, what are these changes? You know, get to the point. Get to the point. Well, here's the point. Number one, we need to stop forcing things that don't work. Now, let's talk about the championship reigns. I think that every single current main roster championship needs to switch hands. Every single one of them, including Tiffany Stratton's championship reign that just started 2 weeks ago. She's not ready for the bright lights. She's not ready for the moment. She hasn't really wrestled that much, really, if you look at her year on the main roster. And on top of that, she hasn't cut any promos. And if she has tried to cut promos like she did last week, they've been embarrassing, bad, annoying, right? And she's not ready yet to cut good promos. She needs more development time. So in the meantime, take the title off of her, give it to a returning Charlotte, a returning Jade Cargill, or someone else, and then maybe have her win it back in 3 or 4 months when she's finally ready. You know, something like that. Cody Rhodes is at the top of the list. His championship reign has been a disaster. Everyone knows the reasons as to why. We've already broken this down hundreds of times at this point. This dude's championship reign has been a bust. His moment where he actually won the belt at Mania 40, incredible. Atmosphere was phenomenal. I was there for it. It was beautiful with Undertaker, Rock, Roman, Cena, the Bloodline, you know, everybody getting involved. It was a great climactic moment that really made you feel the essence of, wow, this story matters and this is being finished. This is great. But since he's finished the story, he hasn't done anything. So now it's time to do something about that, which means he needs to lose the championship. His story is finished. Once he won the championship, it's over now. It's over. I'm not even going to sit here and try and be like, oh, well, you know, libations, because we already know his promos have been boring and repetitive and just not good at all. But here's the big question we have to ask ourselves. What keystone or notable feud has Cody had since winning his championship? It's been 8 to 9 months, and no one has the answer to that question, because he has not had one great feud during this championship reign. And if you really think that his feud with Kevin Owens was good, you need to relax. You need to stop it, man. They had one great promo like 2 months ago, right before Survivor Series, and that's it. That's it. They haven't done anything meaningful or impactful that really makes you feel like this is a blood feud since. The promos have clearly gone down. They're watered down now. KO's barely been showing up and wrestling. He's just been sitting in the crowd or sitting in his car cutting video promos. There's nothing engaging about Cody's title reign. And now that we know The Rock isn't coming back for Mania 41, most likely at least he's not coming back. And if he is, he's coming back for Roman probably. This is done. Cody has nothing to look forward to. The whole reign was predicated on the fact that The Rock would come back and he would challenge Cody and Mama Rhodes, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff, goosebumps, you know, all that. And Rock would challenge him for the WWE Championship. But if that ain't happening, this reign can end now. I don't care about it anymore. I would have liked to see, you know, Cody versus a heel final boss Rock in another, you know, 2 or 3 month program leading up to a match at, you know, at WrestleMania. But if that ain't going to happen, then move on from this title reign. There's nothing for him to do. There's no point of him holding the belt hostage. The title needs to change hands. And that is why I am proposing Cody Rhodes should lose to Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble. Yes, I said it. He should lose to Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble, or he should lose to John Cena or CM Punk or even Roman Reigns within the next 2 or 3 months at Mania or at Chamber or at Royal Rumble. It needs to happen. Or even to a heel Randy Orton, he can lose it to him too. I don't care, but the belt needs to change hands. The story's dead. It's finished. Nobody cares about this championship reign, and it's been atrocious. So if it's not working the way that you want it to work, it's time to move on. Gunther, the world championship reign has been garbage. He's barely been wrestling. He barely shows up, and when he does show up, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. Roman Reigns was an admitted part-timer, and that's fine with me, honestly. I don't care if you're a part-timer, as long as when you show up, it's consistently great moments. And what did Roman Reigns give us for a 4-year span? Consistently great moments. So I don't care if he took his time off. Who cares? Who cares? Seriously, who cares? He took his time off. Great. When he was there, what was he doing? Masterclass segment. Amazing match. Just look at the pantheon of the matches that he had. You know, him versus Seth Rollins at Royal Rumble 2022. Him versus Cody. Him versus Cody Part 2. Him versus Lesnar at SummerSlam. You know what I'm saying? Him versus Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber. You know, there's just so many amazing matches that he was able to put on, and great storytelling moments and segments and promos. There's hour-long compilations of the stuff that he's done just in the last 4 years as a part-timer. Gunther, if you take the compilation of his first 5 months as world champion, you're going to get a compilation of Cody, Sami, Gunther. That's all you're going to hear. There's nothing to talk about. He hasn't had any notable feuds. And as an Intercontinental Champion, yeah, sure, he was able to go around and wrestle consistent matches and build the prestige of the championship. And I commend him for that. I respect him for everything that he's done for that championship. But the problem is that when you're a world heavyweight champion, an upper card main event level champion, right? He's not a main event level talent, obviously, but he has a main event level championship. Once you have that, you have to build the prestige of that belt. You have to make it mean something. You have to make it matter. And Gunther has done an awful job of doing so, and there's no argument otherwise. It's good to put on your little Raw matches versus Chad Gable with the Intercontinental Championship belt, but when you're the world champion, we need more than good matches. We need amazing feuds. We need memorable moments, memorable segments, and memorable matches. Gunther hasn't had any of those during this championship reign, and the fact that he's barely been showing up as a part-timer who's supposed to be a workhorse full-time champion is embarrassing. Like when Gunther goes out, right, Gunther's in a terrible position. Gunther's in the worst position you could possibly be in. He's in a spot now where no one really cares about this guy. Right? When he shows up, he gets a mediocre pop. And it's not a pop where it's like overwhelmingly boos or overwhelmingly cheers. It's just half of the crowd is literally just, just like, man, they're just making noises when he comes up. They're just like, that's it. That's it. A quarter of the crowd doesn't even care about this dude, doesn't even know who he is. And the other 3/4 of the crowd are just giving him a mediocre reaction, right? Jimmy Uso gets a louder reaction than Gunther does. And Jimmy Uso is a single star right now, at least as currently constructed, who has not won anything. He's done nothing to his name. He's not doing anything important, and he's still more over with the crowd than Gunther. And you can get over as a heel, but Gunther has no heat. He went out in a promo with one of the most over baby faces in the company in Jey Uso and had no heat. No one hates Gunther. No one loves Gunther in the storylines, obviously. Nobody hates him as a heel. Nobody loves him as a heel. Nobody loves him as a face. He's just there. He's just meh. He's in a bad spot to be in. I can't have my World Heavyweight Champion being meh, going out into the crowd and getting a lower reaction than Sami Zayn or Jimmy Uso. It's unexplainable. It's absolutely ridiculous. Take the title off of this dude. If it ain't working, it ain't working. So next week, versus Jey Uso in Saturday Night Main Event, Jey Uso should win the World Heavyweight Championship. Yes, I said it. Jey Uso should win the World Heavyweight Championship, and then eventually, maybe you can have Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 41 for the World Championship and for the Ula Fala. A winner-takes-all match with possibly a heel Jey Uso, because maybe Jey Uso lets the ego of winning the world title get to his head, and he turns heel and goes crazy and does the same thing that Roman did to him. He does it to Roman. Beautiful storytelling, long-term booking executed to perfection. Listen to that one. Look at that. Man, come on, man. We're giving a round of applause for that. We're giving a round of applause for that story I just came up with. But anyways, Rhea Ripley needs to lose the championship. She doesn't cut good promos. She barely wrestles, and she barely does anything of meaning. She goes out there, gets a good pop from the crowd, and then proceeds to say nonsense. Mommy's on top. I'm the best. I'm the world champion. I'm mommy. Mommy. I'm the best. World championship. Mommy. Like, dude, shut up. Just shut up, man. It's over. Tiffany Stratton, lose the belt. Shinsuke Nakamura hasn't done anything with the U.S. Championship. He needs to lose the belt. Preferably the LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, or Trick Williams, maybe, who's coming up to the main roster soon, allegedly, and things like that. He needs to start losing the belt. The belt means absolutely nothing when it's on Shinsuke, because number one, he's had it for like 6 weeks. He's maybe had one match, maybe 2 matches, and that's pushing it. 2 matches in 6 or 7 weeks isn't going to cut it, buddy. Then Braun Breaker. This is just a disaster, right? He's in his prime. He's in his 20s. He's got immense talent. He's a very, very good in-ring wrestler. He's got phenomenal athleticism, and he's good on the mic, in my personal opinion. And the fact that he's sitting here and he shows up on Raw once every 6 or 7 weeks is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So don't ever take the title off of this dude at this point. If you're not going to book him well, then take the title off him. And then the tag team championships mean absolutely nothing. Braun Breaker, by the way, should probably drop the title to Sheamus or Ludwig very soon. I don't even care who he drops it to. It needs to get off him. I'd rather have Braun dropping banger matches every other week and cutting segments backstage with no championship, trying to work his way up, than have him have the belt and not do anything for 6 or 7 weeks at a time. So don't give me that garbage. And there's nothing to look forward to right now besides the Royal Rumble. So once you accept all of those factors, right, you take the championship reigns out of all of these people and give us something fresh, something new for Mania season, you may actually be able to create something special, because now you won't be dealing with these problems, at least with these wrestlers, because it's all dependent, obviously, on the booking, but it's also dependent on the wrestlers. Cody Rhodes is boring. Gunther is boring. Tiffany Stratton is boring. He can be entertaining sometimes, but usually she's boring. Rhea Ripley is boring. Shinsuke Nakamura is incredibly boring. And Braun Breaker, as much as I don't like to say it, Braun Breaker right now is boring and isn't even doing anything. So the belt has to come off of him. If you're going to have these issues, at least give the titles to someone else who's over or someone else who has a chance to get it, and maybe you can test and see what happens in that championship reign. But at least you wouldn't be dealing with these same exact issues and these same exact people that you are right now. These people are just holding the titles hostage with these championships, and you know they're going to continue to win and win every defense, and they're never going to show up anyways. They're not going to do anything to build these feuds. Everything is predictable, it's boring, and you have nothing to look forward to. So what Cody's fighting KO if we know he's going to win? So what Gunther shows up for the first time in 7 weeks to fight Jey Uso? We know he's going to win. So what Rhea Ripley's the world champion? She was just a world champion a year ago before she got injured. And then she works back to win a feud that we knew she was predictably going to end up winning anyways. You know? Shinsuke Nakamura, so what, he's U.S. champion. We knew the reign was going to be boring. We know it's not going to last that long. And then Braun Breaker isn't even showing up to work. So what are we supposed to do with this? There's nothing to look forward to in any division right now. So that's why you have these boring shows. And obviously, we have to talk about the simple fact that if you're going to, be changing everything and doing a massive reboot or a massive reset, you have to have new talent in these shows, which means that we need more of LA Knight, we need more Montez Ford, more Angelo Dawkins, more Carmelo Hayes, more Braun Breaker, more Andrade, more people like that, and less Pretty Deadly, you know what I'm saying? And less Pete Dunne, and less Alpha Academy, and less of the, the meaningless matches with the LWO, and Legado del Fantasma, and all the nonsense that, that takes place with like Apollo Crews and DIY, and, the Motor City Machine Bums, all these different people, your usual mid-card women's matches like Candice LeRae going out there, Naomi versus Nia Jax part 50 billion, the PFC, the Pure Fusion Collective, the Pure Jobber Collective, right? We need less people like that, and we need more of the actual talent to rise up. And with Roxanne Perez coming to the main roster, I don't think that she's going to be like some super main eventer that a lot of people think, but I think she has potential, and quite frankly, with her age, I think she's like 21 or 22 or whatever, bro. She should be able to be, she's already better than most of the women's roster on the main roster, in my personal opinion. But when you add her in, that's a new jolt to the women's division that's much needed. It gives us a new face. It also gives us a new face. And there's new faces all over the place with Jade Cargill potentially coming back, Charlotte as well. Alexa Bliss coming back soon. All this stuff, it's all just new faces. We need to get new faces on the screen. We need to see new people, new wrestlers, new storylines, new feuds. LA Knight getting a lot more screen time, maybe getting a championship match with Cody Rhodes at a Saturday night main event. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins finally being utilized and winning a tag team championship. Or maybe Montez turns heel or something and they both go their own ways and go as singles champions, and Montez Ford challenges like Carmelo Hayes or LA Knight for the U.S. championship. Something like that is more engaging than getting Pretty Deadly versus Legado del Fantasma, or getting DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns, or getting Motor City Machine Guns versus like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, or just these meaningless matches and meaningless feuds, and even Shinsuke versus like Andrade, or Shinsuke versus Braun Strowman. Nobody wants to see any of this garbage. We need something new, and part of that is going to be bringing in new roster members from NXT potentially, and also just building new storylines, and replacing the mid-card, undercard garbage matches that you give out every week with jobbers that don't have much talent, and replace them with the people that actually do have talent. Even Trick Williams coming up to the main roster, I think he'll be over with the crowd immediately because of the way his entrance is and his gimmick of whoop that trick. He will be over, in a similar way that LA Knight and Jey Uso are over with their, their one-liners and their gimmicks as well. I think Trick Williams could get to that level or around that level with the way his entrance works, you know what I'm saying? So I think it could be cool, but in order, to do a full-on reset and reboot, you need to start replacing the mid-card and undercard mid-card garbage matches and feuds and storylines you have going out there right now and replace it with new stuff. You can even have Street Profits versus New Day. Usos reunite and fight New Day. What's it called, man? You can even have Penta and Rey Mysterio team up and fight against the New Day for the tag belts at some point. Something new, something unique, something fresh. Do you get what I'm saying? And when you change the championships and also learn how to build feuds that don't involve the championship, right? Like Seth Rollins and CM Punk is a semi-interesting feud. It could have been much better, and it should have been much better. This feud should feel more like a blood feud than Drew McIntyre and Punk did, but it doesn't. And the reason why is because there's absolutely nonsensical, fantastical elements that take place in these feuds and in these matches. Seth Rollins hits like 2 GTSs, 3 curb stomps, a couple pedigrees, and nearly hits a Falcon Arrow, and then all of a sudden CM Punk no-sells the superplex, picks him up and just GTSs him. Seth Rollins just knocked out immediately off of 1 GTS and then gets pinned after another one. Like, what? That's not consistent booking. It makes no sense. And when Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre come out here and complain and complain and complain and then keep losing to the same people they're complaining about, it makes them meaningless. And when you get rid of all these championship reigns, you will probably be able to notice instantly that energy has been reinserted into these divisions. New faces have been inserted into these divisions. New stories, new feuds, and unpredictability, which is the main catalyst of what makes a great storyline and a great match, is what's needed. We need unpredictability. If Jey Uso wins the World Heavyweight Championship, and we know that his Intercontinental Championship reign only lasted like a month, we don't know when he's going to lose the world title, right? Him versus Roman Reigns could be a toss-up. You never know, right? You really don't know. Cody Rhodes, for example, right? If he loses the championship to Seth Rollins or to CM Punk, or something like that, and CM Punk is fighting John Cena for the belt at Mania or at SummerSlam, who knows who's going to win that match? Who knows who's going to win if it's Rollins versus CM Punk for the WWE Championship, right? The booking would dictate that Punk would retain, but we don't know that, right? Who knows if Drew McIntyre could beat Punk for the championship and maybe make it 2-2 in their match series, setting up a super tiebreaker. You never know. These stories and these feuds need unpredictability. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. The long-term booking stuff is just a disaster. In order to refresh and reboot and at least get out of the current state that you're in, you have to reboot and do like a Thanos snap and get rid of everything. If your phone isn't working, you reboot your phone, correct? That's just how it works, right? It is what it is. You have to do a factory reset if things aren't working. If your PlayStation isn't working, you shut it off and turn it back on, or you go restart the router or something. You have to do a reboot. These stories, these championship reigns, and these main event storylines, these mid-card storylines are failing. They're not interesting, they're predictable, they're boring, and they're repetitive, and they're not engaging at all. And in order to fix it, you have to change the titles, you have to change the hands of the champions. You have to do it, man. Change the championship. Change who has the championships immediately. Get them on someone else and do something unique with the championships and do something unique with the stories so you can actually make this Mania season somewhat rival last Mania season. Because right now, nothing makes any sense. It's all boring. And quite frankly, I don't care about Mania 41 as far as it's currently constructed. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. If you think this reset, should be into place, and WWE should think about changing the hands of every single champion in the WWE. And as usual, I hope you guys have a phenomenal day. I thank you for watching again, and have an amazing day. And thank you for watching again, and have an amazing day. Just keep repeating the same thing: libation, libation, libation. Nah, but for real though, I hope you all have a phenomenal day. And as usual, peace out, one love.